Greetings, Star Wars fans! Today we are taking a break from doing toy reviews to bring you guys a video discussion about the design, development, production, and distribution of the Star Wars action figure toy line. In particular, we're going to be looking at the 3 3/4 inch assortment figures, as well as discussing the detailing and sculpting of the figures as well. Now, this video has been an idea that I've wanted to do for a few weeks, and it really come out of some of the things that I read during Rogue Friday, but even comments that I saw prior to that. I know there's been a lot of issues with distribution of the toys on Rogue Friday, particularly with Walmart, and I wanted to address that. And for those of you who do not know or do not understand this process, to kind of enlighten you and give you a better idea of what's involved in the toy making process in general. So in the beginning, when a company like Hasbro wants to develop a action figure based upon a character from Star Wars, one of the first things that happens is that they decide which characters they're going to produce action figures of. And this is based primarily on the prominence of the character, not necessarily what their role is, but rather how important they are to the overall plot of the film, as well as, desirability by collectors and fans. And they'll reach out to the production company, in this case Lucasfilm, who will provide concept drawings. They'll provide still images of the actors in their wardrobe or costume, what have you. And they'll also provide something we call character scans. Now, character scans are produced by taking digital images using lasers and computers of the actual actor in their wardrobe or costume. And these are layered scans that are done by a laser, very similar to computer-aided tomography and magnetic resonance imaging in a hospital. And these images are then uploaded into a computer program, and a very detailed three-dimensional image is produced, which the design team can then manipulate and tweak to their liking. And once the design team at Hasbro has all of these material from the production company, they use that to develop a prototype mold of that figure. And from that prototype, revisions are made, changes, what have you, whatever they're going to do. And they finalize the action figure before placing an order with a production company in China. Now, once the production company receives that order, they begin producing the figures. They are packed. They are shipped by container ship to the United States, either on the East Coast or West Coast, and to other distribution points around the world, Australia, England, where have you. And when they arrive in port, these containers, which are basically Connex trailers, are offloaded to a holding point until trucks come and pick them up and take them to the distribution centers. Once they reach the distribution centers that Hasbro has sent up, the orders are then shipped out to the individual warehouses for the buyer, be it Toys R Us, Target, Walmart, what have you. And from there, they go to the individual stores and, of course, on peg hooks in those stores for you to buy. One of the other processes that's involved in the distribution takes place at the buyer level with Walmart. And I'm using them as an example because they were the most prominent that were discussed during Rogue Friday in regards to lack of availability of product, particularly overseas with their counterparts like Asda. Walmart has to enter a contract with Hasbro, and this occurs about 9 months to a year ahead of product being put out. Hasbro will meet with their buyers. They'll do their marketing scheme for those products. This is going to sell. They base that on the previous projections from past sales like Force Friday of 2015, the interest that the public has shown in the product, as well as interest from collectors on forums, what have you. All that data is put together to form an equation and a projected sales goal. So companies like Walmart entered into an agreement with Hasbro. They agreed to buy X amount units of this product and put it out at the dates that Hasbro sets out, such as September the 30th for Rogue Friday. In return, Hasbro agrees to give Walmart, Toys R Us, Target, whoever, a certain percentage of the sales for profit, as well as paying a certain percentage of sales for allowing that product to be on their store shelf. So essentially, Hasbro has to buy shelf space. In larger Walmarts, you will see 10, 12, 14 feet of shelf space for Star Wars, whereas in a rural store like mine, you will only see 4 feet during an event like Rogue Friday. And when the mod comes around Q1 2017, it will be reduced down to about 2 feet. And the reason for that is sales. Those of you who have worked for Walmart, Target, other stores like myself, you understand that there's a computer-generated system. Each time a product is scanned at the register, it automatically replenishes that product, but it also tracks the sale of that product. It tracks its movement. And that's how they generate their marketing goals. That's how they keep track if a product is selling. If it's not, it's pulled from their mod and it's clearance and gotten onto the store. So that's the basics of an action figure going from concept to production within that 12 to 18 months. One of the things that has been talked about a lot since 2015 is the Luke Skywalker action figure from The Force Awakens. Now, I know many of you are sitting there saying, what Luke Skywalker action figure? There isn't one. No, there isn't, and I'll tell you why. The Hasbro design team was not given concept images, character scans, or anything by Lucasfilm until after the film's release. The design team did not see what Luke looked like until they were sitting in the theater on December 19th of 2015. So after that, they got the pertinent data from Lucasfilm. Now, at that point, they should have already had the action figure for sale, but because of Disney and Hasbro not wanting the secrets of the film to be revealed, they held that information back. And really, I blame Disney for that. That's a decision that they made. And we'll talk more about that in just a moment. So moving ahead to Toy Fair in 2016, the Hasbro toy panel didn't say a lot on stage. When they actually got out on the floor, they answered some questions, and here's what they told us. They said that Luke and Leia were both coming in multiple scales in the fall of 2016. Great. That's not that long to wait. San Diego Comic-Con rolls around, 2016. A Disney marketing executive is interviewed, and this is what he says. He says that Luke is coming in multiple scales, but he doesn't give a definite date. A Hasbro rep is there, and they make this comment, and I'm quoting them verbatim. If Mark Hamill wants an action figure of Luke Skywalker made, then he needs to say more in the film, unquote. Basically, he was saying that they would not produce an action figure of a character who had no lines in a film. Well, that's a straight-up lie. I could go on to name all sorts of characters, but I'll take one from The Force Awakens. Sidon Athena, the solid red alien called the Crimson Crusader that we see in Maz Kanata's castle, has no speaking lines whatsoever, and he has an action figure. Later, after SDCC, it was stated again that Luke's figure would come next year. My personal feeling on that is the earliest that we would see an action figure on Luke would be mid to late second quarter of 2017 after Toy Fair. My reason for that is if they're going to release this figure, they're going to show it at Toy Fair first. That's my personal feeling. More than likely what will happen is Disney will tell Hasbro to reserve that figure until Force Friday of 2017 for Episode 8. Most likely that's what will occur. I do not like that. I do not like the oversight that Disney has with Hasbro and the toys. I feel like they really have mangled up things for collectors, but that's just my personal opinion. When George Lucas owned Lucasfilm, yes, he did have input with the toys, but he pretty much let Hasbro do what they wanted to do. Now you see things like softer plastic used with the vehicles, in particular the TIE fighters, the solar panels being warped, that sort of thing. And there's been a big improvement with that with the Rogue One toys that we saw on Rogue Friday. Another thing are the projectile launchers. They've been replaced with Nerf cannons. Why? Disney's concerned about a lawsuit. Softer projectiles like Nerf darts are less likely to cause injury, which in turn are less likely to lead to something like a lawsuit against them for a child being injured by a projectile. As silly as that sounds, it's a very real possibility. Now, the other issue that I wanted to discuss is the sculpting of the figures. The sculpts of these action figures are made from those concept drawings, photos, and character scans, but rely more on the character scans than anything else because they are so complete, so accurate and detailed. They pick up every little detail when the machine runs over the actor. And when you look at figures like the 3 3/4 inch assortment line that we've received in past lines, the figures weren't as detailed, didn't look as nice, didn't have as great of detail in the paint applications, where if you fast forward to the Rogue One assortment, they are light years ahead of anything we've ever received. My personal opinion is that the 3 3/4 inch basic assortment from Rogue One are the best 3 3/4 inch figures that we've ever seen released in Star Wars. They just look that great. If you take a 3 3/4 inch figure beside, a Black Series figure, 6 inch, besides Sideshow and the Jakks Pacific, you'll see variations in the detailing and the sculpting of those figures. Generally speaking, the larger the action figure, say Black Series and the Sideshow figures, the more detailed the sculpt is. Why is that? It's the physics of the sculpt being produced within the machine. Companies like Sideshow, for instance, are targeting a very small market. They are looking particularly at hardcore collectors. They're looking at guys who are willing to spend a lot of money for a very nice collectible. They produce the figure and then do a lot of hand detailing on these action figures that they produce, which is why the price point is so much more expensive. However, the Sideshow collectible figures and the 3 3/4 inch basic line are all made from the same character scans. The difference is, again, the physics of the molding process. So they're all using essentially the same mold. It's only larger, and the larger the surface area on the figure, the more material they have to work with to create better detailing. And that's why you see variations in that. And of course, the larger the figure, they're going to have more paint applications on them to bring out, small features like buckles or ammo cylinders, what have you. Whereas on the 3 3/4 inch figures, that's nearly impossible to do when they're mass produced. And Hasbro, in regards to their marketing, they kind of drive down the middle of the road. They have two primary markets that they're after. They're after kids, which is mass marketing, and collectors, which is a more defined market. And when they offer us 3 3/4 inch action figures, they try and give you the best of both worlds. That's why you have little gimmicks that kids can play with, like missile launchers or what have you, and then you have nice detailing on those figures. That's also why they've given us the Black Series, the Walmart exclusive 3 3/4 inch, as well as the 6 inch Black Series. Another thing that I'll mention are the vehicles. Case in point, the Rebel U-Wing from Rogue One. I honestly did not believe we would see this vehicle produced in 3 3/4 inch scale. The reason being is because I was well aware of the size that the vehicle would probably be, as well as the cost. And there's a little term that the design team likes to avoid called cost overrun. And a lot of thought went into the production of this vehicle. And I have to tell you, this is the largest scale fighter that Hasbro has produced in a very long time. It is a very big ship, and it's very nice. I have to say hats off to them because they did a really great job on this toy. One of the things that you will notice on the bottom is that Nerf launcher, and that is there for, mainly younger kids, but, play. And it's not a bad feature. It is large, and it takes up the entire lower section of this ship. And if you can see right here on the side, there's an outline where the side hatch would be. And here you can see where the forward ramp would be on the ship. And of course, both of those features are non-functioning. There's no internal troop compartment where there is on the actual vehicle. Had they actually incorporated the troop compartment on this ship and left the Nerf launcher off, we probably would have paid somewhere in the neighborhood of $100 to $120 for this toy, because this entire section would have been much larger and the overall scale of the ship would have been larger. But as it is, they had to compromise. They had to give us a toy that collectors would want to buy, but also something that younger kids could play with as well, and that's why they incorporate the Nerf launchers on these toys. And again, 12 to 18 months minimum on something like this, and I would say probably a little bit longer on the vehicle, particularly with the AT-ACT and the design and everything that went into that. It's just phenomenal. And this is just a really, really great toy. I'm very thankful that we actually have this. But cost overrun is something that companies wish to avoid, and that's why there's no troop compartment on the U-Wing. It's not to say it's impossible to modify to put it in there, but you really risk destroying this toy attempting to do that. So that's another issue I wanted to bring up where the vehicles are concerned. So I hope that this video gives you, the collector, a better understanding of the processes involved in the design and production of the Star Wars action figures and vehicles, as well as marketing and distribution. And again, on Rogue Friday, Hasbro, of course, did their part in distributing these toys to their buyers. Any distribution issues that we saw on Rogue Friday were solely those of the companies who purchased the product: Walmart, Toys R Us, Target, what have you. I will say that if you went into a store or went online with a company like Best Buy, for instance, they are a secondary seller. In other words, 2 of my U-Wings were pre-ordered from Best Buy. They were guaranteed delivered by September the 30th. On the 29th, I received emails that date had been pushed back to October the 30th. Following, it was pushed up to October the 11th, and then I actually received them on the 16th. Why is that? Well, that's because Hasbro ran out of product, not because they shipped so much to Best Buy, but their primary buyers are companies that specialize in sell toys: Toys R Us, Kmart, Target, Walmart. So, of course, those companies get their orders out first. Secondary sellers like Best Buy generally do not. They get their orders filled as they need them. So, if you purchase product from them, particularly the Stormtrooper helmet, you won't have it until the middle of November. But the distribution processes involved there are with the buyer, not with the distribution company itself, Hasbro. So try to keep that in mind the next time that an issue like this arises. Moving forward, I really anticipate the sales of the Rogue One toys and products to exceed the Force Awakens, just because of how nice the line has been. It would be nice to see more vehicles, 3 3/4 inch X-Wings, AT-STs, Krennic Shuttle. I hope these are things that we may see in early 2017, but they may not. However, that does not mean that they aren't paying attention to the collectors and what we're after. But again, I hope this gives you a better understanding of the processes involved, so the next time you're online ordering a toy or you're in the store, you understand what's going on. And me personally, as a collector, one of the things that I do, I will pull an action figure off of the peg. If there's more than one, I will look at them both and compare the sculpts and the molds. And I pick out the one which is the better sculpt. An example of that is the Jyn Erso action figure in the poncho. I noticed that there were slight variations in the way her eyes were positioned and painted on the figure. and I got the one, of course, that looked better. And I will do that with every figure that I buy, regardless of the scale of it. Even the Jack Pacific Big Figs. Some of them I will pass up because of the paint applications on the figure. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Feel free to leave your comments or questions below. As always, feel free to visit my Facebook page, Orion's Belt Creations. I do a lot of fan fiction writing. I also do a lot of photos and dioramas and stuff with toys. Right now we're in the early stages of trying to produce a Star Wars fan fiction film. I'm also a contributing columnist for Outer Rim News. Outer Rim News is one of the leading Star Wars websites today with over 18,000 followers and subscribers from around the world. Everything from commentaries to comics to collectibles to the latest in happenings with the live-action films and the animated TV series, Outer Rim News has it all. So if you haven't visited their website, please do so. They also have a Facebook presence, and encourage you guys to check us out. So again, thank you for watching the video. Until next time, may the Force be with you.